Welcome back to the channel, Guitars, Mods, and Music. I'm Paul, Jesse B's behind the camera, and today I'm going to show you how to wire up push-pull coil split. So this coil split, push-pull coil split, is made by Vintage Inspired. So this is your volume pot. It's also made by Vintage Inspired. It's your tone pot. This is your coil split. Notice, got a disc type ceramic capacitor. It's going from your volume pot to the center lug on your tone pot. That's already wired. You can buy them already wired like that. They'll come like that. You can get them from Vintage Inspired. This is not a sponsored video, but I picked it up already wired like that. But if you need to, that's just your typical ceramic disc capacitor wired to that center lug. You look here, this yellow wire is a ground. It's ground to the bottom of this push-pull, and it comes up and is soldered between both them lugs on the top of the push-pull. Once again, you can get it already with that on it. The pickups we're using are hot rail pickups. They'll be wired like the Seymour Duncan wiring diagrams on the hot rail pickups. Hot rail pickups. These are Tele style. You got the small one in the front, regular Tele one in the back. We're only going to worry about the push-pull today, the coil split. So you're going to have a red wire and a white wire on both pickups. They go together. There's your bridge. There's your neck. Wired together, red and white, wired together. These jumpers that I showed you guys how to make a couple videos back, just for testing. This way you can test and make sure everything's right before you actually solder. I went ahead and I put a red and white together on both of them. What you're going to do, take your bridge, clip that alligator clip on that wire, the white and the red. You're going to come over here to your push-pull, and you're going to go to the center lugs. You see these center lugs, these two center lugs? You're going to go to one of them on one side. It doesn't matter which side. Okay? Then you're going to take the other jumper. You're going to go from your red and white to the other side of that center lug. That's all there is to it. Now, once we test it and we know everything's going to be right, what you'll do is you'll just pull them jumpers. You'll solder that red and white to one lug, that red and white to the other lug, and that's all it is. Let me pull these off. What happens is, with this push-pull, just so kind of explain it, this ground wire comes up here and it's grounding these top lugs. This ground wire is coming up here, it's grounding these two top lugs. So when you pull this out to split your coil and make it a single coil, what it does is it grounds out one half of that pickup. If you wanted to, you could have grounded it to this bottom one. It'd ground out that bottom side. So that means If you done it like that, when this was pulled out, when this is pulled out, that would be your humbucker mode. And then when you pushed it down, you would be splitting your coil. You could do it like that. The way we have it set up, when you pull it, you're splitting your coil. Your red and white, go to that center lug, other red and white, goes that center lug. That's all there is to it. When it's time to solder them up, you just solder the red and white. You get rid of these jumpers, boom, solder both of them, one on one side, one on the other, and you got it. That's all there is. Like I told you before in the last video, the reason I made these jumpers, and I'm showing you guys with these jumpers like this, so we can test it all in the end. And before we solder anything together, test it all, show you how to test it all. That way you know you've got it right before you solder. You're not going to have to unsolder stuff. You know you're going to have it right. You know, even though you get these good diagrams, everybody has them for every pickup, just about every pickup, all the major ones for sure. And they're great. You definitely need them. And there's a lot of really good videos out there. I've watched bunches of really good videos that guys put on. The problem is when I read the comments, like I said before in the last video, everybody's going too fast. You know, they're not catching it. It's being explained to them too quickly. You know, the explanations are there. I mean, they're really good videos. It just, if you don't do this kind of stuff, it's hard to keep up with it. You know, using these jumpers, you can move them around. You're not going to blow these things up. You're not going to blow them up. The worst thing you're going to do is solder your pots. And if you're wrong, then you got to heat them back up again, get the wires off. That's where the problem is. You use these alligator clips, you can jump around if you had to. You're going to know you're right. Then you snap a picture of it with your cell phone even if you want to. That way you know, okay, this is what worked. Then you're going to bring it all in real close. Get rid of them jumpers and do your soldering. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Have a great day, great week. I'm Paul Hopley, and until our next video, remember, play your guitars, mod your guitars, and make them your own.